Hey everyone, it's Kevin Jones with Life, Mind, and Money. Today we're going to be talking about why there are so many reasons people are still not receiving their stimulus checks. There's about 152 million that have already gone out the door, which is great. It's putting money into our economy and in people's hands where they need it the most. But I know there's plenty from all the comments I've been receiving that still haven't received them. So we're going to go through all the reasons why you may still not be receiving a check and what you may need to do about it. So let's get into it. If you haven't already done so, Life, Mind, and Money is here for your personal finance needs and getting you through these times. And if you haven't done so, please hit that subscribe button. Also, don't forget the little notification bell right next to it, as you will receive future videos as they come out. So let's get into this. 152 million people have received a stimulus check from the U.S. government, which is great. That is money that was needed and is starting to stimulate our economy. Now, as that money is starting to be distributed, I've received plenty of comments about how people are still not getting their checks, and it started making me wonder why is the case. So after doing some research, I'm going to give some explanations about what's happening here, and maybe you fall into that category. Now, before we get into all of those reasonings, as we talked about in our previous videos about these stimulus checks, is that there is the Get My Payment website on the IRS that will allow you to track the status. And maybe you have been tracking it and it's not been giving you all of the information that you need. But I would advise you to utilize this site to determine if you know where your check is coming or the time frame it's going to come to you. Now, in the time that stimulus checks have been going since late April and up to today, we've got paper checks, we've got debit cards, and now we've got direct deposit. 3 different forms for money to get to you. Now, when it comes to direct deposit, the deadline was May 13th to get that into the site so that the IRS knows where to direct that money quickly to you instead of waiting all this time for a check. If you miss that deadline, you're honestly going to probably get a check in that situation. Now that we've kind of gone over the basics here, let's start diving into all of the reasons why you may not still be receiving your check and wondering where it may be. So let's go for the first one. And this one should be the simplest in form, and that is you are simply not eligible. As we talked about, eligibility was based on adjusted gross income for individuals, head of households, and married and filed jointly. These income levels were based on your 2018 or 2019 tax returns, depending on when you filed. Many have not even filed for 2019 as the tax date of normally April 15th has been pushed out to July 15th. So they would have used your 2018 data. For those who are individuals, you had to have an adjusted gross income of $99,000 or less. And for head of household, it was $146,500 or less. And for those who are married, it was $198,000 or less. Then there was a step-down break of $5 for every $100 in adjusted gross income until it was all depleted out. Now, if you met those qualifications, then you should have been receiving checks. But if you know that you were over that or you're unsure of it, what you need to do is take a look at your last tax return and get on that 1040 and look for the line down below that talks about what your adjusted gross income is. This will give you the information to see if you were ever eligible at all. And that might have been the first reason you were wondering why a check didn't come your way. So please pay attention to your 1040, and that may give you your first reason. Now, the second reason you may have not received a stimulus check is because you were getting it in check form. As we talked about, there was a schedule of how these checks were going to come out in the mail. Now, the first checks that were delivered in late April and early May were to the people with the lowest income levels, and that was targeted intentionally. If you're in a higher tax bracket and you still are going to get a check, then these checks were dated, as you see on the screen, through the schedule all the way into September. Now you think about it, it is only June 1st. And so we are a long ways away from a lot of these checks still going out the door. So just keep a look at the schedule and make sure that you are on the right track, knowing kind of when that check will be coming, because unfortunately, you still might be weeks, if not months, away from receiving that money. Now, the third reason you might not be receiving your money yet is that you actually submitted your direct deposit information to the IRS, but unfortunately, that information takes days to process on their end. And there's a possibility that the IRS was already setting up a check deposit for you before they received that direct deposit information. So you were hoping to get that money immediately, but instead, because they have that direct deposit and they didn't use it, you'll now get a physical check. And that means that that information, as that schedule we just showed, will apply to you, and it still may be weeks or months to come. If there is any additional stimulus to come, now the IRS will have that direct deposit information for you. So if a second stimulus comes, and if we talked about in a previous video and click it above, then you'll be prepared for that next wave. Now, the fourth reason you may not be receiving a stimulus check is that you had direct deposit information on file with the IRS from a previous tax return, maybe 2018 or so, because that's how you got your refund. But unfortunately, that information is no longer valid. I mean, think about it. Some of us change banks, or there's a change in a routing number or a bank account number. And if the IRS has the wrong information, that money will never receive into your bank account. So in this case, the IRS would already know this because they've already attempted it, and that means they will immediately trigger for a check to be delivered to your door. So once again, you'll be on the same schedule as everybody else receiving their checks over the next coming weeks or months. Now, the other reason that you may not be receiving your check or you're waiting for your money is that you had direct deposit information ready with the IRS, but unfortunately, when they processed it against your bank account, something happened. Who knows? Maybe it was a wrong digit with your routing number or your account number, or simply just something went haywire trying to get it over to your bank. If there is a failed attempt to try to submit direct deposit money, stimulus money to you, then the IRS would stop that transaction and immediately send you a check. So that could be the possible case with your stimulus money at this moment. Now, the sixth reason you might not be receiving a stimulus check is that you are claimed as a dependent on somebody else's tax return. Now, this one can be a little tricky because you got to remember if somebody's claiming you as a dependent. For those who are over 16, maybe you're a college student, or even the rare case of somebody who is actually an elder, but you have a son or daughter who actually claim you as a dependent for financial reasons. There's a lot of reasons that can be in between, but if you are claimed as a dependent on anybody else's tax return over 16 years old, you will not receive money at all. As simple as that. So for those who are in college, you're a college student and you're looking for extra money, I get it. But if your parents are claiming you, just remember that you will never see any of this stimulus money because you didn't qualify. Now, the seventh reason you may not be receiving money is because you're behind on your child support. Yes, the IRS actually tracks this information. And so what they will do is either reduce the amount of stimulus you're receiving, or they may remove all your stimulus money completely. If this is the case, you are supposed to be notified by the Bureau of Fiscal Service, and they should send you a letter or an email or some kind of notification to let you know that this has happened. So this might be a story behind why you haven't received your money, especially if you already know that you're behind on that child support. Now, the eighth reason you may be behind, you may not have the stimulus money coming to you, and this one's a sad one to see, but you may have been scammed. I mean, literally, there are scammers out there looking for a way to get a hold of this money. We've heard all the reports about scammers getting into the unemployment money of different states where they're posing as different people to have money directed to them. It's a sad, sad state to see, but it is possible with the stimulus money. But the one caveat here is that all of you will receive a letter stating that you were to receive stimulus money and how much. And on that letter, it also talks about if you have not received your money, because you should have received your money before you received the letter. So if you have the letter in hand, it'll talk about that I have not received the money and how you can go about rectifying the situation and hopefully get that directed to you in a timely manner. I hope you're not in this one, but it is possible, so be on the lookout. Now, the ninth and final reason you may have not received your stimulus money is because you are in some case where you did not file taxes in 2018 or 2019. In almost every case of this, it's just simply because you have low enough income that you didn't need to file at all. And the IRS, honestly, beyond your Social Security number, does not have enough information on file to actually send you anything. So if you do fall in this category, you absolutely need to go to the non-filer's website and figure out all of that information to them so that they can actually get a check in the mail. You do qualify, and I'm guarantee you that they'll send one out to you quickly because you're in that lower income category. So if you're sure that you have not filed in the last 2 years, then make sure to go to this website and take advantage of that form so that stimulus money will be on your way. Now, I know there's probably some other categories out there, but these are kind of the main ones. For those who are on Social Security and other disability benefits, the IRS should have sent you payment based on the information they already had with the Social Security Administration. And I would utilize these websites as well on the IRS to make sure that that payment is still coming your way. And hopefully you don't fall into one of these categories and you are receiving your payments. So those are my topics today for why you may not be receiving your stimulus payment, and hopefully they're on their way shortly, because I know we all will need this money to keep things moving and keep our economy churning. If you haven't already done so, and hopefully you like this video, please smash that like button. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we provide additional information to all of you as we get through these times and hopefully see better economies in days ahead. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.